As the tide of influence shifts across the Sahel, Burkina Faso stands at a turning point. Under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore, the country has made bold moves, severing old ties and forging new alliances. One of the most pivotal, its growing military partnership with Russia. In the face of ongoing threats from terrorism and instability, Russia has not only delivered advanced military equipment, but also boots on the ground, trainers working directly with Burkinabe forces. In this rare interview, Captain Traore speaks candidly about the depth of this cooperation and his vision for a self-reliant Burkina Faso.
Despite that, they were able to provide equipment and come to give it to Burkina Faso. I think that's already very important. But as I said, Russia is also helping to train us. For everything we purchase, Russian soldiers train Burkinabe soldiers on how to use this equipment and all that. But we want to continue developing our own military industry, Vokumpu, with the support of Russia, or Roseto, which I would say is far ahead of the world when it comes to weaponry. So we need to have this close collaboration so that we can make progress in our war.
Across the Sahel, a new movement is rising, fueled not by foreign interests, but by the conviction of a younger, determined generation of Africans. At the center of this shift stands the alliance of Sahel states, Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, three nations forging a common path in defiance of political isolation and economic pressure. But this alliance is more than just political, it's deeply personal. For many, it represents the hope of dignity, sovereignty, and above all, unity. In a powerful and emotionally charged interview, Captain Ibrahim Traore lays bare the pressures, the betrayals, and the promise of this new African model. His words cut through diplomatic pleasantries to speak directly to the soul of a continent searching for its future. Here is what he had to say.
To understand the AES today, you just have to look at the African youth. I think that African youth are hopeful that this is a model of unity. And for us, the leaders of the AES, it puts pressure on us, and we have to succeed, because Africa now needs to unite. We were in an organization that was supposed to be one of solidarity, cooperation, mutual assistance, and all that. But you can't be in an organization where you call each other brothers, and then at some point they cut off the electricity so that patients die in hospitals. The economy comes to a halt, and banks are closed, so you can't access anything. Transfers you need to buy basic necessities, medicine, and so on, these were blocked for some Sahelian peoples. They even formed an army to come and fight against Sahelian peoples. While terrorism has been raging for decades, they have been incapable of sending a single soldier to help fight. These are not brothers. We shouldn't fool ourselves. And it's not the people, it's the leaders. Otherwise, when you look at the people, even in these ECOWAS countries and all, the people support and understand the momentum of the AES. So that reassures us and encourages us to organize ourselves, to be a model, so that in the future it can expand. But in order to expand, we need to establish strong foundations. And that's exactly what we are doing right now. So that's more or less what led us to withdraw and to organize ourselves in order to relaunch.
In the eyes of many Africans, young and old, Ibrahim Traore is not just a head of state. He is a symbol of resistance, of self-determination, and of the rebirth of Pan-African ideals once championed by revolutionaries like Thomas Sankara. At just 37 years old, Captain Traore leads not only a nation under siege, but carries the aspirations of a continent yearning for unity, justice, and dignity. In a moment that resonated across Africa and beyond, he was asked a question that echoed the thoughts of millions.
Mr. President, for many people in Africa, you are more than just the president of a country. You are seen as the embodiment of a renewed Pan-Africanism. Why does Africa today, in particular, need, if I may say so, a new Thomas Sankara? How does it feel to take on all this responsibility at only 37 years old?
Age doesn't matter, but I can say it's a lot of pressure. It's pressure. You shouldn't let it turn into delusions of grandeur. It's pressure. For me, it's a message that the youth are sending me, and that puts even more pressure on me. If I used to manage to sleep 2 hours, now I've cut my sleep down to just 1 hour. And if you shouldn't sleep anymore. Because they must have seen something surely that we're doing. Something that, in their view, could help Africa get out of this situation. For us, it encourages us, it remotivates us to keep fighting. That's why I say it's pressure. It's a very heavy responsibility. And I can promise that all we can do is not to betray, to keep following our path of Pan-African struggle. We hope that it will inspire all African youth, and that the Pan-Africanism we long for so much can become a reality. Because Africa has suffered a lot. It's time for us to unite, to work together, to develop ourselves. Just as Africans go elsewhere to see the world, to see money and everything else there is. In Africa, it's possible. It is possible. So this is our mission, and we are going to take it on.